The Grand Hall in New York shimmered under golden lights. Cameras flashed, music pulsed softly, and the world's elite gathered for one of the biggest fashion shows of the year. At the center of it all sat Emma Lawrence, a 26-year-old CEO, beautiful, confident, and feared in the fashion industry. She had built a multi-million-dollar empire in just a few years. People admired her success, but whispered about her arrogance. As Emma adjusted her designer gown and glanced around, her eyes suddenly stopped. In the back row sat a man who didn't belong. He wore simple clothes, slightly worn out. His face looked tired, but calm. Beside him sat a little girl, holding his hand tightly. Emma frowned. "Who let him in here?" she muttered to her assistant. Her lips curled into a smirk. "Is this a fashion show, or a public waiting area?" A few people around her chuckled. The silent father. The man, Daniel, heard every word. But he said nothing. His daughter looked up at him, confused. "Dad, why are we here?" Daniel gently smiled. "Because, sweetheart, this is where our dreams were born. And maybe today, we'll finally get our answer." The show begins. The lights dimmed. Music rose. Models began walking down the runway, showcasing breathtaking designs. The audience clapped, mesmerized. Emma watched proudly. This collection was her masterpiece. The one that made her brand global. But in the back row, Daniel's expression changed. His hands trembled. He whispered under his breath, "That's my design." The interruption. Suddenly, Daniel stood up. "Stop the show." Gasps echoed across the hall. Emma shot to her feet, furious. "Security! Remove him immediately." But Daniel didn't move. Instead, he raised his voice. "These designs, every single one of them, are mine." The room fell into stunned silence. Emma let out a cold laugh. "You? Build my empire? That's ridiculous." The truth emerges. Daniel slowly reached into his worn-out bag and pulled out a file. "5 years ago, I worked at your company. I was a junior designer." He held up the sketches. "I created these designs. Every single piece you're showcasing tonight." Whispers spread through the audience. Emma's confident expression began to crack. "You were just an employee," she said, trying to hold control. Daniel's voice grew heavier. "I was the employee who stayed up all night designing, while you took the credit." A painful past. He continued. "I didn't fight back. My wife was dying. I needed money, not a legal battle." His daughter held his hand tighter. "She passed away, and I was left alone with my little girl." The room grew quiet. "I stayed silent for years. But tonight, watching my dreams walk this runway under someone else's name." He paused. "I couldn't stay silent anymore." Emma breaks. Emma's mind raced. Fragments of memory came back. A young, talented designer, quiet, hardworking, invisible. She remembered. She had dismissed him. Ignored him. And then used his work. Her hands trembled as she picked up the microphone. "Is this true?" Daniel didn't argue. He simply nodded. The turning point. For the first time in her life, Emma had no words. Her voice cracked. "In front of everyone," she said, "this empire doesn't belong to me." The audience froze. "It belongs to him." Shock filled the hall. "I took what wasn't mine. I stole his work, his dreams." Tears rolled down her face. "And today, I'm giving it all back. A new beginning." Months later, the company had changed. Daniel became the chief designer, finally receiving the recognition he deserved. Emma stayed, but not as the untouchable CEO she once was. She worked, humbly. Learning. Changing. One evening, she approached Daniel. "I ruined your life," she said quietly. "Why didn't you hate me?" Daniel looked at his daughter, then back at her. "Because she taught me something," he said gently. "That sometimes, people deserve a second chance." Ending. From that day on, Emma was no longer just a powerful CEO. She became a better human being. And Daniel? He didn't just reclaim his lost dreams. He built a brighter future for his daughter. Moral: arrogance can blind you. But truth, no matter how late it arrives, has the power to change everything.